Hello. Today, I would like to introduce you to Jerome David Salinger's representative novel, The Catcher in the Rye. Let's take a closer look together. Jerome David Salinger is an American novelist born in New York in 1919, and is one of the most influential writers in modern literature. His representative work, The Catcher in the Rye, caused a great deal of controversy upon its publication, but is now established as a classic representing 20th century English and American literature. Salinger experienced World War II, and after the war, he incorporated his criticism of human suffering and social hypocrisy into his works. He avoided contact with the press and lived in seclusion throughout his life, and did not publish any additional full-length novels, except for a few short story collections. His works mainly deal with themes such as the psychology of wandering young people, the disconnection of human relationships, and social hypocrisy, and still resonate with many readers today. The Catcher in the Rye is told from the first-person perspective of 16-year-old Holden Caulfield. Holden is expelled from Pensy High School in New York City, and before telling his parents, he wanders around New York City for several days, experiencing various experiences. Holden believes that the world around him is hypocritical. He is particularly distrustful of the adult world, and hopes that innocent children will not be influenced by that hypocritical world. However, he also feels lonely and longs for true communication. After leaving school, Holden stays in a hotel in New York City, and meets various people. However, he is unable to make a true connection with anyone. He meets an old friend named Ruth, but he finds communication difficult and disappointing in his conversations with her. His teacher, Antolini, was his only mentor, but Holden feels uncomfortable with him and runs away. He misses his innocent days, thinking of his sister Ali, who has already passed away, and confides in his sister Phoebe. In a conversation with his younger sister, Phoebe, Holden reveals what he wants to do. He says he wants to be the catcher in the rye, protecting children from all the hypocrisy and corruption in the world. This refers to the role of protecting innocent children from danger, but it is an ideal that is not realistically achievable. Holden feels extreme loneliness and depression, and eventually reaches his mental limit. The novel ends with a scene where he receives treatment, and does not clearly provide an answer to how he will live after that. In this way, The Catcher in the Rye is written in a way that follows Holden's inner world and the flow of emotions rather than following a typical story structure, allowing readers to deeply empathize with his psychology. The following is an explanation of the 5 key words. First, wandering and growth. Holden is not a simple rebel, but a teenager experiencing growing pains. He refuses to become an adult, but at the same time, faces the reality that he cannot help but become an adult. His wandering takes the following form: being expelled from school is a desire to escape the adult world. Living alone in New York, he yearns for freedom, but also feels lonely. He meets various people, but cannot truly connect with anyone. In the end, he becomes confused as a being on the borderline, who is neither completely an adult nor a completely child. The second is hypocrisy and truth. Holden hates the hypocrisy of adults, but he also lies sometimes. He lies and deceives himself in many situations. His disgust for the hypocrisy of adults and his own contradictory behavior contrast. It raises questions about what a true life is in society. The third is longing for purity. Holden's dream catcher in the rye is someone who prevents children from falling off a cliff. This symbolizes his pure desire to protect innocent children. However, in reality, no one can completely maintain innocence, and children eventually become adults. The process of realizing this deeply wounds Holden. The fourth is alienation and loneliness. Holden feels disconnected from society, and cannot properly communicate with people. He tries to meet people, but he is always disappointed and breaks off relationships. In particular, his relationship with his parents is distant, and the only person he can open his heart to is his younger sister Phoebe. Holden's attitude is also connected to the psychological problems of modern teenagers. The fifth is problems of modern society. The reason why The Catcher in the Rye is still relatable today is because the demands of society on teenagers have not changed. A society that values grades and success is a society without true communication and causes confusion about identity. Holden's concerns are not simply problems of the United States in the 1950s, but are still relevant today. The following are useful introductions for reading discussions. First, is Holden a simple rebel or a victim of his time? Share your thoughts on whether his rebellion is simply due to his personality or the result of social problems. Second, what does it mean to be an adult? We think about the boundary between adults and children, and how we become adults. Third, what does the catcher in the rye mean? We analyze what this expression symbolizes in Holden's psychology. Fourth, does Holden want true communication, or does he run away? We think about whether he wants a relationship or rejects it. Fifth, do teenagers like Holden exist in modern society? We discuss and compare them to modern teenagers. The Catcher in the Rye is not a simple coming-of-age novel, but a work that deeply explores the psychological wandering that a teenager experiences as he collides with the world. Holden Caulfield is not a simple rebel, but a symbol of all youth who cannot find their way in the gap with the society they belong to. Sometimes, like Holden, we feel that the adult world is pretentious and hypocritical. We get angry at the irrationality of the world, and there are times when true communication is difficult. However, just as Holden wanders around New York and meets many people, we also grow through various experiences in our lives. In particular, the symbol of the catcher in the rye that Holden dreamed of still leaves a deep impression on many readers. Can we really protect children in their innocence? Or is life ultimately a process of learning about the wider world, while sometimes getting hurt and growing? The final scene, where Holden feels joy at the amusement park with Phoebe, suggests that there is a possibility of hope even in complete despair. The reason why this book is still loved, even after decades, is probably because everyone experiences the same emotions as Holden at least once. Perhaps we too may lose our way and wander at some point in our lives. However, in the process, we will grow more and more, and eventually find our own answers. What did you think after reading The Catcher in the Rye? Do you feel that Holden's wandering and worries are still relevant today? Or what would your own Catcher in the Rye look like? I hope this video has given you a new perspective. I hope we can continue to have deeper conversations with great works in the future, and see you again in the next video. Thank you. Please subscribe and like to support me for better videos.